All right, let's do episode 2 of whatever this show is. Couple of things from last time. Brownlow Fife pointed out to me that the DFS Australia profit tracker I was using to show my 2025 results did not include star qualifier entries. So I had a look at that, had a look at the bankroll tracker on the solver, um, which I can bring up here. Um, And yeah, so my results were actually about $13,000 less overall than I thought they were, and most of that was attributed to AFL. Um, yeah, which is a bit of a bummer, but it was. So let's look at last. No, last year. Qualifier minus 16,000. Ouch. Um, that's not showing perfectly on there, but yeah. So what I found is well, I have to have a think about whether I keep playing in the star qualifiers or if I just go a much smaller volume. That was my plan last year, but as the year went on, I just sort of got tempted to put in the max lineups quite often, especially when I was off to a flyer early in the AFL season in $15 comp. And it just took a lot longer than any other year to win my tickets. I only ended up with 4 out of the 5 tickets, and then I got absolutely nothing in the final. I'm pretty sure lifetime of the qualifier, I'm slightly profitable. But yeah, it makes last year's results look a little bit worse. So anyway, wasn't planning to spend too much time on that. Let's move on to this morning's NFL. Um, it was a big NFL slate, 13 games. Been playing around with a few different strategies for BBL and um, 1 or 2 game NFL slates this week. This is going to take a while to load. But because they've been going so well in the big NFL slates, I just stuck with the same strategy, building a lot of heavy stacks, building in mini stacks, the kind of stuff I talked about in the last episode. Um, and so I put in 50 lineups, $750. Uh, got back 600, so negative 150 for this slate. Which, considering my best lineup finished 93rd, I'm not sure how I only lost $150. That's not a horrible result. There was a lot of overlay, which is not surprising for week 18 when a lot of star players are being rested in the good teams and etc. So that probably helped in not losing too much money. Very low scoring slate. Again, not surprising with the teams depleted. Um, yeah, we chalk. Yeah, some of the only good players left on the slate, Bijan and Puka, who've both been going nuts lately. Michael Wilson with Marvin Harrison out again. Jordan Mason with Aaron Jones out. Luther Burton's finished strong in his rookie season. Uh, Jahan Dotson, my God. So obviously AJ Brown was out. No, Jalen Hurts wasn't playing. It was pretty yucky. And a lot of that chalk failed. Obviously, Puka's fine. Michael Wilson, that's fine. Chase Brown, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, the really big scores came from, 8% Ramondre, 1% Alec Pierce, 2% Tyron Tracy, 2% Trubisky, which is interesting because Trubisky was, projections wise, he was best value quarterback on the slate, but there was no Buffalo players to stack him with, really. Like, who are you going to stack him with? Their receivers are awful. Same problem with Josh Allen. Anyway, Trubisky comes off, 4 passing touchdowns. My God, he wouldn't have done that too many times before. Barely any rushing, which is interesting for him. And yeah, you compare him with Ray Davis for some reason, who went off on the ground. Who else could you have paired him with? Yeah, really not much. Couple of running backs, which you're not going to build Buffalo stacks with running backs. So if you play a style where you play naked quarterback or single stack quarterback, you might have been able to build some good Trubisky lineups anyway. What else are we looking at quarterback? It was by far Trubisky, Stafford, Lawrence, who was, again, he was my top quarterback this week. Let's have a look at that. Oh, that's not how that's supposed to look. So quarterbacks, I played 32% Trevor Lawrence. I know that last week you couldn't see the exposures properly when I was doing this, but I've tried to resize it a little bit. So I was building Jaguar stacks, Bears stacks, got some Rams and Patriots stacks, and then just a few drips and drags of other teams there. And yeah, Stafford and Lawrence came through fine. Tyler Shock, nice finish to the season. Riley Leonard, really interesting. It's his first game as a starter. No one was expecting much, especially against the fearsome Texans defense, and he's done most of his work through the air, which is interesting. And I know the Colts almost stole that game. Not actually sure what the final score was, but last I looked, Texans were up by 6 right as time was expiring. Yeah, and he's a running guy. He didn't do much on the ground. He did have a rushing touchdown. Again, not sure if there would have been much to stack him with. So not much happening in quarterbacks, running backs. Ramondre went off again. He was good last week. Um, just a strong game all around. 3 touchdowns. Tyron Tracy, similar thing. Strong game all around. Only 1 touchdown. Lost the fumble, but rock solid. 8 receptions. That'll help. And then not much else going on at running back. Travion, so the Patriots did all their work on the ground. He also got 2 rushing touchdowns. That's 5 touchdowns between the 2 running backs. So I'm guessing not much to stack Drake May with in the pass catches. And what did Drake score? Yeah, he didn't score very well. Alec Pierce. There we go. So Riley Leonard, Alec Pierce. I don't know. Is there anyone else from that game to stack? I mean, who's building this stack? But maybe bring it back with Jaden Higgins at 8%. Schultz, Warren. Again, you'd need to be building some pretty light stacks, which I'm just not doing this season. And then tight end, yeah, it was Colston Loveland. I didn't even know Tyler Higby was back playing. Snuck back in this week. 2 Rams tight ends, so there you go. You could have stacked them with Stafford and Puka. Ram stacks were relevant. Get Michael Wilson coming back. Trey McBride. I mean, that's not enough for his price, but on a low-scoring slate, there's a stack there. And yeah, Colston Loveland, what's he done? 10 for 91. That's pretty good. Another rookie coming strong at the end of the season. The Bears are going to be awesome for the next few years. And yeah, a bunch of really solid DST scores. I cannot believe the Raiders won that game. I'm not sure if it cost them the number 1 pick. I don't think so in the end. not much else to look at there. So Wayable, W Jawbell with the win, 196 points. Pretty handy win, almost a 20-point win. And he has built the single stack, Puka and Stafford, brought it back with Michael Wilson. Any other stacks in there? No other stack. So this is a light stacking approach. Patriots and Ramondre, that's a little stack, running back with DST. But yeah, he's essentially just, or they, sorry, essentially have just gone through and chosen a bunch of solid players, and not many of them smashed, but it didn't matter on this slate. No one smashed. Had Ramondre, and then Stafford, solid. Puka, solid. Chase, solid. Wilson, solid. Loveland, really good. Best tight end on the slate. Pettis, incredible choice. 11 solid from him, and a solid defense. Nicely done. It's really, yeah, obviously there's not that much to analyze in week 18. It's all kinds of chaos happening. Yeah, I think that will do for the NFL. I've still got the Ravens Steelers highlights to have a look at. That looks like it was probably a good game to decide who's going to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs, baby. That's not bad. What else have we got to look at here? Had a fair bit of Big Bash in the last couple of days. So I've still been max entering the micro, just trying to figure out an approach that works. I was garbage in this game last night. So I think what I'm going to do with the cricket stuff is, instead of reviewing and previewing, I'm just going to do one or the other for each team and have a look at just have a look at which players are interesting going forward. Any comments on role changes or how they're performing? Um, it was a bit of a weird game last night, by the looks of it. I'm not sure what the strikers were doing. Overton didn't bowl. I don't know if he got injured, but anyway, we'll get to that. Scorchers first. Turner, he's in some red hot form. Just a little cameo with the bat, and he bowled one over and took 2 wickets. That's handy for a bloke who bowls about once a season these days. Yeah, I've still got him down for about a 45-point guy, but he's still reasonably cheap for what he is, so he's definitely a play. Agar seems to be coming into some form with his bowling. He's been much more economical the last couple of games. He's also about a 45-point guy, so decent play, especially as a selectable as an all-rounder. Hardy seems to have settled back into the top four after floating a little bit. And he's getting, 2 to 4 overs every game, so great role for him. The price is about right, but definitely worth continuing to play. Marshall's just incredibly boom bust as a pure opener. He seems more worried about sinking beers than he's cricketing these days. Sam Fanning, aggressive little lefty. Yeah, you're going to play him plenty at minimum price. I'm sure his price will come up in future games, but yeah, he looks like a decent little player. Connolly had a down game. He bowled 4 overs, which is kind of incredible. So he made a duck. Um, it's kind of like Connolly, Matt Short, and Jack Wildermuth, probably the three best roles in the BBL at the moment, bowling pretty much their full quota most games, even though their bowling isn't that crush hot, and just really good top three batsmen as well. That's maybe a bit generous for Wildermuth, but he did score a ton. Hobson, yeah, I mean, he'll snag a good score every now and then, but you're not going to play a number 7 batsman too heavily, no matter what his price is. And it's kind of the same story for Joel Curtis. The Scorchers top five is really good. He's in there as a keeper. Um, yeah, he did come in at six, so I guess he had the opportunity to score some runs, but I don't think he is a massive talent. I wouldn't worry too much about him. Joel Paris, I'm going to have to change my tune on Joel Paris. I've happily barely played him in any lineups for years, many years. And that's been fine while he's been averaging in the 20s. But yeah, last year he was good. This year he continues to score well. That was probably one of his best games ever last night. Like, yeah, batted nine, solid little 20, and then three for and maxed out his economy bonus. Yeah, I have to. I mean, he's surely his price is going to shoot up after that, but I have to pump his projection up closer to 40 points per game, I would say. And yeah, Steve, I need to almost flip uh, what I've been doing with Paris and Beardman. I've had Beardman up near 40 points, expecting him to be Richardson immediately. Huge raps on him. He's been with the Aussie team, etc. But the little bit of him that I've watched, his control's not there yet. He doesn't look super composed. And clearly Paris is in some form, so I need to flip them. Beardman can have a projection 35-ish, Paris 40-ish, and I'm probably still going to get more Beardman in my lineups due to price. But yeah, and then finally Brody Couch. Yeah, he's kind of what Joel Parrish used to be. Like his role can go missing. He's kind of last in the pecking order. Doesn't offer much with the bat. He just sort of needs to have a lucky day to have a ceiling score. And over to the strikers, obviously, yeah, Short's still got the best role and is an incredible T20 batter. So I'll keep playing plenty of Matt Short, no matter what his price is. Yeah, I've got players like Liam Scott. I've always struggled with a bit because his history isn't great. I mean, he's still pretty young. I think he's what is he? He is very smooth here. Turning 26 this year. I've got his projection up to 50 now, but I'm always a bit slow on players like this. Like he goes from batting seven and rarely bowling to batting four or five and bowling 2 to 4 overs, and that's a great role. So gotta gotta get his projection up there with other players who have a similar role, which is in the 50s sort of thing. So I've got him at 50. If that role continues, hopefully I'll get him in a few more lineups. He didn't come off last night though. Not many strikers did come off. Overton didn't bowl. Again, I'm not sure if he got injured or whatever. I wasn't watching last night. He's out eating some greasy pizza. Um, Kenzie Harvey batting three. I heard some stuff from the commentators last previous game that he was being looked at for the Aussie team, maybe one day stuff. Surprising. He does not seem that good. Yeah, batting three is definitely still got to have a look at him, but can fade him on talent, I reckon. Harry Manenti, yeah, he slid up to six in this game, but he's batting like as low as eight. Doesn't bowl, as far as I know. Same as his brother for the Sixers. I'm not too interested in that. Whitey bowled 4 overs in this one. Might have something to do with Overton's injury. I don't know a lot about this guy, but I feel like, you know, I think he's in his mid-20s. He appears out of nowhere in the middle of a big bash season. He's probably not going to set the world on fire. Bats low, bowls sometimes. Not going to rush out to put him in too many lineups. Linney didn't come off, but like we're seeing with Warner at the moment, that's kind of a classes permanent thing, and that's very cheap for Chris Lynn. So don't run away from that. Sadly, Jason Sanger, I reckon he is. I don't know. He's been good in the Shield for South Australia, but it's been a while since we've seen him do much in the Big Bash. He's sort of. Let me have a quick look over here. Yeah, very little in the last 3 seasons. He hasn't played a huge amount of games. Few injury issues. He used to bowl a few leggies. Doesn't seem to bowl anymore. I don't know. Maybe he's an upside play, but seems like he's a bit lost. He's got a bit of Fraser McGurk about him when it comes to T20 cricket. Popey went off. Oh my God. 4 for 24. Nice Popey. Yeah, he's been good for 3 seasons now. So he's sort of another 45 guy. Priced about right, but you want to be sprinkling him into a few lineups. He would have been a great player last night at 16%. Shamsy, probably should have been 100% at 8,000. He's absolute gun at international level. Batsman cannot pick him. 3 for. Didn't even get the economy bonus. He'll get that reasonably often, I would imagine. Luke Wood only got 2 overs. It's a bit weird. Um, his price has crept up a fair bit. I think he's sort of a 45 guy as well, so hopefully that price comes down a bit for him. And that's about it. Yeah, I absolutely sucked in the micro in this one. I cashed 4 out of 50 lineups. Not really sure why. Probably didn't play any Joel Paris. I mean, I can have a quick look over here. Let's have a look who I played. Um, oh yeah, okay. So I played a lot of Overton. That didn't go well. I did play a decent amount of Liam Scott. That's good to see. Yeah, 8% Paris, barely any. Only 16% Popey, same as the field. Pretty low on Turner. Yeah, it was okay on Hardy, Agar, but anyway, did not come together. My best lineup was my best lineup. Let's have a look at the winning lineup. So yeah, the winning lineup, obviously Popey's gonna differentiate you a fair bit. Absolutely nailed the bowling. Paris, Shamsi, Pope. My best lineup had the bowling sorted, but got nothing from the batting. And yeah, it's got like a underwhelming Matt Short in there, but 51 points raw is solid when you've got all the guys who scored triple figures. It's a nice lineup. It's a solid win, like 40, 45 points, whatever that is. Yeah, I got nowhere near it in that one. Quest to figure out the Big Bash still continues. Brownlow Fife, who I mentioned earlier, also said to me that he is convinced there is no profitable strategy for max entering the Big Bash. Too much of a lottery. I'd say that's probably right. You're probably better off just um, making a handful of lineups, but I'm going to keep plugging away in the micro. The other game last night was Stars Renegades. I did a little bit better in this one. Try and get through this one a bit quicker and we can have a quick look at the game that's about to start tonight. Um, I'll try and touch on a few last plays here. Maxwell, what the fuck is going on with Maxwell this year? He's down the order. He's still getting a few overs, still fielding in the hot spots, but just not scoring any runs and not really coming off with the ball or in the field either. Spores barely has a role. Blake McDonald, I mean, if he bats in the top four, Blake McDonald's a decent play. Peaky's got heaps of talent. I think I want to keep playing him. Like he was at 15%, pretty cheap. I want to lean into that. Don't particularly want to lean in. Like I'd much rather play Peak than Fraser McGurk, for example. Tom Rogers has a pretty big sample now batting in the top three, and he averages like 25 Draftstars points, which is just about the worst top three batter you've ever seen. Pretty happy to stay away from that. Stone's looking really good this season. Looks like he's trying to drag his team over the line. Didn't come off last night. I think he might have been the most popular player, so it's always a good idea just to build some lineups without the top few guys in ownership. Stoyan, I mean, Maxwell was still pretty owned last night. We'll see who else we come across with the bowlers. Harper's still looking good opening. Callaway's similar to Peak. He's the future of Australian cricket. I want to keep leaning into that while the price isn't too high. Cartwright batting too low. Came off last night, but for the most part, stay away from that. Hassan Khan, I'm going to have to change my tune on him. Yeah, I mean, I watched him bat a bit last night, but I haven't watched him that much. I think he's got a pretty nice role, bowling a fair bit. What did he bowl last night? 4 overs, 1 for 26. Yeah, he's nice. Rizwan put something together last night, but I heard the commentator saying a lot of these players from Asia really struggle getting used to the pitches over here. And yeah, I didn't factor that in really with him or Babar at the start of the season. So it's probably a good point. But his price is down pretty far now. So I think he's a solid play. Sutherland's a great play at that price. He, yeah, I don't even think he's had the big game yet this season, but has he? Nope. Top score 73 draft stars. So he's got some big games coming. He's still got a really nice role. Same with Curran. He didn't do anything with the ball last night, just had a cameo with the bat. Dropped at least one catch that I saw, maybe two. Nice score. And Josh Brown is sort of once a season monster. Um, but yeah, I don't know, maybe he's matured a bit, selecting his shots a bit better. He's worth looking at. And then one of the reasons I did all right in this game is because I played a lot of Sandu and a lot of Stowe. I saw Stowe has some pretty good numbers in some international T20 stuff, like playing in other countries. Sandu, that's like really cheap for a guy who's strung together a bunch of solid seasons. Um, his name value's sort of gone down the drain, but he's not too bad. Swepson's a player kind of like Paris I was talking about before, where his big bash scores haven't been great for years. He does nothing with the bat, does nothing in the field, doesn't get his economy points very often. But this season he seems to, well, he's certainly scoring better. So I've had to boost his projection up a little bit from sort of low 30s to mid to high 30s. And that's about it. Obviously, yeah, Siddle's gone great. Ralph has a massive ceiling. Berendorf's really struggling on his new team at the Renegades. Um, is that a pitch thing? Is that an age thing? I don't know what to do with him really. Like I think I had him projected mid to high 50s in the last couple of years, and right now I'm down at like 45. And he's averaging nothing, like 10, is he? Sorry, 22. That's a bit harsh, but um, yeah, that's not great. All right, let's have a real quick look at tonight's game, and then I'll get out of here. Didn't have much of a plan for this video tonight, but just wanted to get another one under the belt. So let's have a look at the Sixers. That is the expected lineup. So, like, Silk's the guy that can save you a bit of money. You just have to cross your fingers and hope he's sort of gets going after a slow start to the season. Missed a few games and hasn't done anything yet. The ball hasn't come to him in the field like it normally does. Hayden Kerr's a guy, I reckon he's a sneaky decent play. They've got him listed at 11, which is crazy how strong this team's batting order is, but he has been bowling a decent amount, I reckon. Oh, he's only played 2 games, but got 3 overs, 3 overs. I think his bowling role is solid. Um, so that's a nice price for him. Like I'd probably project him and Davies for very similar amount of points. So it's a good discount from Davies, who's clearly a good cricketer. You can play Davies, that's fine. None of this is going to help anyone because the game will have started by the time the video goes out. But just a bit of process, bit of player analysis. The bar, exactly what I was talking about with Rizwan before. Like he's a classy player, put together a couple of good scores. Just you know, I'm much more into Chris Lynn at 15 than Babar Azam at 16.5. Or I'd probably rather play Philippi. And yeah, Jack Edwards, he's got kind of a Sutherland, Daniel Sams. Um, who else? I don't know, like a Tom Curran kind of role where he's very important in the bowling and can do some damage with the bat in the lower middle order. So doesn't really matter what his price is. He's got a massive ceiling. You probably want to play him. Here's where the real value is. So I've said stay away from Menenti. Like, don't want to play much of him at all. Abbott and Dorcius, that is so cheap for those guys. No, Dorcius hasn't done. Has he done anything this season? No, he's done nothing. So he's a good player. Surely he's due, and that's very cheap for him. Heat. Lockie Hearn's back in. Hearn in for Munro. That's the only change I can see there. And so I don't know much about Hearn. I think he might be more of a kind of a red ball player. Probably a better player than Pearson though. He's opening the batting. He's the same price. Possibly a better player than Weekend as well. He's got the same problem being stuck down at 6. Yeah, I really like Balkan at that price. He might not be anything special, but he's got a full bowling role. Seems like he can bat and field, so great price for him. Bryant, again, he's a sneaky sort of, he's strung together about 3, 4 seasons of consistent performances now. Sort of come of age. And I did some analysis on him last year where he averages slightly more batting at sort of 4, 5, 6 or 5, 6, I think it was, than he does when he was opening the batting or batting top 3. So I don't know if that's means anything, if it's sustainable, but means him batting at 5 at that price is very much in play. Same with McSweeney. He's had some injury issues, but he looked fine in the last game. Renshaw's getting a little bit of a bowling role. Obviously, he's in the form of his life with the bat. That's a pretty big price, so it's like you can fade him on price. The variance in T20 cricket. Whereas Wildermuth, like, he's got a better batting role and a better bowling role than Renshaw. So if I was going to fade one of those on price, it's probably Renshaw. Wildermuth's just come off two bad scores, and I'd probably want to lean into him having a good score in this game. Bartlett's price seems to have gone up a decent amount. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. He had that massive game and a couple of other solid ones. He's just a very, very good cricketer. So it's fine to play him at that price. Kuhneman's in the same boat as Swepson and Paris that I've talked about. He's sort of a always average low 30s. This year he's doing things with a bat. Just I probably wouldn't project him for 40 like I might the other guys, but yeah, his projection's got to be a bit higher, 35 plus. But yeah, I'd much rather play all of the other heat bowlers. Patterson, I mean, guy looks like he needs about 2 or 3 years in the gym, but you get the ball down there with a bit of shape and a bit of heat. You could easily add that. Well, I mean, you might just want to play him at that price just so you can fit some of the guns in, but he could also put up a score with a nice bowling roll. And that is that. I better go make some lineups. There's some stuff I'm interested in getting into in future videos. I want to talk about women's sport a little bit. That's something I'd really like to get back onto the platform this season. Women's AFL in particular, but also women's NRL, I think would be pretty awesome. I need to have a think or talk to some people about how we can do that. Maybe crowdfund some money because I know the big problem with women's AFL is the cost of the data feed is they just can't justify it for the interest in the contests. So I don't know. I would like to try and crowdfund some money, maybe put up some money myself, and just sort of back myself to make it back during the season, something like that. But I'd like to talk about it more because one, I think it's like massively underrated how fun those games are, and two, I just think women's sport is something that we should be trying to support as a community. And it's just good to have more stuff on the side. Like I love playing fantasy sport, so that's one of the things I really want to get into in some future videos. Plenty of other stuff, theory, some of the conspiracy stuff that happens about uh, the big players being backed by draft stars, which is absolute nonsense, obviously. But um, yeah, I want to sort of illustrate that DFS is not a game of random luck. It's you work hard at it, um, do a bit of research on the theory, have some spreadsheets if you're like me and you enjoy that stuff, or find a different approach. But um, yeah, I'd really like to talk about that a bit more. So there we go. Thanks for tuning in. If you did, I'm going to try and do videos on Mondays and Thursdays. Um, so yeah, there'll be another one up in about 3 days' time. Good luck with your slates in the meantime. Ciao.